Okay. Okay, walking into the Republican, what is this? This is Republican, isn't it? I don't see any elephants in here. This is the Reagan Dinner 2019 here in Pahrump, Nevada at the Treasures RV Park. And I'm going to try to get some people to interview before this night's over with. You can see this. There's Mr. Knowles with the broken foot. But lots of people here already. Lots of hungry people, hopefully. So we'll see how this goes.
Dr. Joseph Bradley, running for Assembly District 36.
How you doing today?
I am doing great here at the President Reagan Dinner, one of our greatest presidents ever, and just happy to be around so many fellow conservatives.
So I haven't talked to you since the Pahrump Festival. How is the damn thing going? How's the support doing? Right. Yeah, I mean, that's events planned.
Absolutely. Campaign's going great. More and more endorsements every day. A lot of really good people reaching out, emailing, coming on board. And we have an event coming up on October 29th at the, I forgot the exact name. At the Artesia Community Center on October 29th at 6 p.m. And we're going to be just having a lot of fun talking about healthcare, our water rights, taxes, and just a lot of things in general.
What about the Second Amendment? What's your position on the Second Amendment?
I am quite fond of all the amendments, and the Second Amendment is one that I think was placed very correctly. First Amendment is so relevant to all of our fundamental rights. Second Amendment is there to assure we can maintain those fundamental rights. And as you know, Dwight, I think you do, I'm a former law enforcement officer. I was actually Police Officer of the Year. And I can't tell you how many times I took the report of people that had been subjected to a violent crime. There's a cliche of non-law enforcement people that always like to say, when the police are minutes away, you need seconds, kind of a thing. The reality is, the moment you call 911, you're in imminent danger. That's why you called 911. So before police are even dispatched, you're in danger. Our Second Amendment right is there because our framers foresaw that we needed to protect ourselves, our family, and ultimately our country. And I think that's true now more than ever before.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you go back to the Reagan Day dinner here, and we'll be talking to you again a little bit later.
All right, thank you.
Okay. This is Dwight Lilly here at the Reagan Dinner in Pahrump, Nevada, signing off. Okay, we got Trevor Loudon over here, one of my radio guests from on KCOR Digital Radio Network, and he's here at the Reagan Dinner. And as I understand it, he's going to be one of the keynote speakers here. So let's mosey up and see what he's got up here on his table. I'm going to flip this around here.
Right now I'm doing this. I was doing prisoner reform. I work for a nonprofit out there, Hope for Prisoners. We did prisoner reentry.
Looks like we've got a copy of his book, Video The Enemy Within.
That don't look like camo.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Getting pictures of everything here.
2 years.
Let's see what we got here.
This full time.
Burn this book.
Now her daughter wants to run.
I've watched that video before.
No, but her daughter, they're putting her daughter in.
Yeah,
No, I'm talking about...
Hi Trevor, long time no talk. I had you on my radio show a couple of years ago.
Yes, that's right.
I heard you were going to be out here. So,
Good to see you.
so what have you been up to?
Look, I'm living in Florida. I want to win the election in Florida because it's such a critical state. I'm working on a movie, Enemies Within the Church, writing a new book, a little bit of fishing, but really I'm here to try and win the next election. That's my big goal.
Well, I've got your book, and I got your book like several years ago when you were here.
Keep an eye out for it.
And when I show the book to people and I said, you need to get this book, that way when all your liberal friends are telling you how innocently they are going about trying to save our country, you can find out how many communists and socialists are in the
Well,
it's an amazing story.
The big update is that movie which you've just seen. That's had 1 million views on Amazon Prime. We say there's at least 100 members of the House of Representatives and 20 members of the US Senate who couldn't pass a background check to drive a school bus. They're so involved in communism, Muslim Brotherhood front groups, with the Chinese, with the Iranians, with the Venezuelans or the Cubans. They couldn't clean the toilets at any military base in this country, yet they run the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, the Judiciary Committee, the Intelligence Committee, all run by Marxists.
Okay. Well, anyway, I look forward to your talk tonight. And Dwight Lilly signing off here again at the Reagan dinner.
Tina Turner. Now the election for chair and secretary is going to be at the end of the month, and I wanted to point out this is going to be the team that I want to work with. I've asked David Hebert to run for secretary, and Katrine's going to continue on. She's doing something new with her Reform group. So Katrine. And I'd like Stacey Hebert to just take a few steps forward. All right. Now, it's very important that you hear me out on this. About 2 weeks ago, we asked Stacey to help us put this Reagan dinner on. At that point, we had a date and a venue, and that was it. Within 2 weeks, she put all this together. The binder, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Kay was elected in April as the vice chair, and she said she's going to continue on. I think she's been doing a great job. Doug Knowles, he's our treasurer. Sharon Williams is the vice chair of the Rock Valley Republican Women. Chair of our credentials committee for the RMCC, and she co-chairs that with Pastor Neil Owen. Dr. Ken Searles is going to be taking care of our parliamentarian issues. We have meetings and some other things that he's going to be working on. Bill Newyear and Katrine are going to be helping at some other events, plus you're informed. I have some ideas that we'll talk about. Tina's going to be on an advisory role, and I'm going to be, if I get elected, on the 26th, that's it. I will also add some other people to this committee, but I want you to see who this leadership will be if I get elected, and let's give them a hand for standing up and doing what they're doing.
I can honestly say this without a doubt, and many of you know me, I'm a huge Notre Dame. They're playing USC tonight, right now. I can't think, there's only maybe one other two counties I'd be at. But Nye County, you showed up for me, and I'll always show up for you. So, I want to say one thing. Thank you from my heart, my family, Joe, who's here tonight with me as well. Thank you for being in my corner tonight. Please give a round of applause for that. You guys are awesome. It's been a long time, and I tell you, the cornerstone of where you start rebuilding this party was Nye County. There was fire and brimstone. We took it over in 2012, 5 divisions. You see it time and time again. You've heard me talk about it over and over again. But now they have been talking about it on the national stage because there's other states that are in the same position that we were in years ago. And I can tell you by the way you unite somebody is sitting down having a conversation that's open. Not political, not prejudiced, but getting the facts across. What's best for all of us. And in the end, personalities are put aside. And as Joe mentioned in his speech earlier, that's 100% true, what Reagan said. Reagan must have taken that to the grave with him because that does not follow in this party. I had it happen to me 2 months ago. They talked about everything but the issues. But Nye County showed up and sent a packet. And like any time I run, the opponent comes out of nowhere, disappears, and where are they now? Where are they now? Nowhere to be found. It's all talk, all words. And when I'm saying this, it's not about me. I'm just pointing out the most recent facts that happens. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no sideline this time. Everyone in this room is in the game. If you want to criticize, you better be in the game, throwing blows, right along shoulder to shoulder with us as we fight for Republicans. You want to have something to say, you better be putting money down. I don't care if it's $2, skip Starbucks, throw the $2 in the pot here in Nye County, skip Starbucks for a couple days, help us out. Help the state party out. Help the Trump campaign out. Now, why is it ground zero? Why is it so important? Because the President of the United States loves Nevada. He's proven it. He's come here when he's gone nowhere else. He's never gone to another state to help them do a fundraiser. He did one here as a candidate. He came back and did one as a president. He then came back and did it at our state convention. All the times, just with a simple ask, and I call him asked. That's what's important. But now it's his turn. He needs you. Our elected officials that fight need you. The president and all of us in this room need to send people back to Congress that will fight for Republican values and fight for the president. We would put an opportunity that's second to none. When I talk about where Nevada sits in the White House, on the flow chart, we're number one. We're number one with the RNC. Not Texas, not Ohio, not the real big states. There's nothing wrong with that because I have a lot of great friends as chairmen that are down there. What I'm telling you this for is because of this. We have a great relationship with the president. Chris Carr, who is a Louisiana boy, but more or less raised in Nevada, is number 2 in the Trump campaign. He sits number 2. He's the political director. Number 3 in the Trump campaign is a man by the name of Jeremy Hughes. Jeremy Hughes, by way of Kentucky, is a Nevada boy. Think about that. What is leading this nation right now are Nevadans. But we can't disrespect ourselves, our family, our relatives, more importantly our community, and also the people that are in the trenches fighting day to day. Think about that, where we're leading. So when the president looks and says, how's Nevada doing? Damn it, we better be doing well. Why is it important? Pete Buttigieg opened an office here last week. Think about that. A Democrat opened an office in Nye County. That's like Frosty the Snowman opened an office in hell. Nye County? Are you serious? But he came, he's going to show up. He has a personality. He will be able to steal votes. He'll get sympathetic votes. He'll get issue votes. That's why we have to slam the door on Pete Buttigieg. Am I saying it right? I'll tell you something. I had dinner with people from Indiana. Notre Dame's in South Bend. He's the mayor, and they call him Booty Juice. That's what they call him now. That's there. I'm not kidding. That's not my words. So if anybody's recording this, that's not my words. That's what they said from Indiana. I almost slipped up and said it, so now you have me. Okay? So when Pete Booty Juice opens his office here, go say hi to him. Elizabeth Warren shows up. I got kicked off the flight. I thought it was kind of hysterical because we were going there to fly with her. and somehow I got bumped off. I think it was by happenstance with Southwest. But it happened. But more importantly, we made a phone call, and look what happened. Our forces showed up at the airport. When they showed up at the airport, they gave her a welcome she has not seen anywhere in this nation. Then we went to her rallies, a rally up in Carson, and we showed up and disrupted the rally. Disrupt is what I'm saying is because that's what they're doing to us. We sent out a warning. I said it on Fox News, and I also said it on CNN. You need to, Democrats, you need to control your people, or we will. And I wholeheartedly believe that. There's not a person in this room I will let take a shot in the face or something being thrown at them from this Antifa or any other Democrat. We want to debate the issues. We do not want violence. But we are not going to be punching bags. We have to protect our elected officials. And I mean that in every sense of the word. They fought like warriors at the Assembly. Regardless of what John Ralston wrote, I was up there a lot. And I saw what our warriors did. Day in and day out, they'd get punched, their bills would get slapped. There was nothing, metaphorically speaking, but saying the bills would not move forward. Their bills would be chopped. They came into every committee meeting and hit the Democrats in the face every time. We didn't leave them until they knew we were there. Then when it came time to testify, we had people down here in Las Vegas, we had people in Elko, we also had people at the chambers. They were so big at times, they had to open two offices. Then they had to go to 3 rooms because we showed up. We took apart several of their bills, but in the end, you saw what happens. Many Nevadans saw what happens when you elect a Democratic leadership in the Senate and the Assembly. It was disgusting. Now you have a left-wing Democrat who used to be center-left, is now far-left. I don't know what Kool-Aid they gave him, but he's gone crazy. And now we're up against that. We have to come together to give them more members to fight. They're here tonight. They've been at every event we've asked. This is the leadership for Southern. This was important. Embrace them. Ask them questions. Get behind them. We put together schools. We have another one coming to schools for candidate schools that are happening in Clark County. But at the end of the day, you have to take notice. Look to your left, look to your right. If you have Republicans that are talking trash or finding ways to dismember the leadership in Nye County, tell them to push on. The state stands 100% behind Joe Burdzinsky and everybody he said. They were here for us. The state will be here for you. But that's what's important. Unite behind this leadership. Help them move forward. Help our elected officials move forward. Your rural chairman for the Trump campaign is your own Greg Hafen. His name the other day. Now, I've been known to be a rebel rouser, and that's not kind of what the Trump campaign likes about me. I got called away. I had to go to Arizona. We had a great meeting in Arizona with our chairwoman down there, and some of our electeds. Jim Marchant went. Who else went? Who else went? There are a couple other people. But anyway, Rory McShane was with us. And that's what's important is we had our delegation show up to work with Arizona. So what they do? They called one of the best rebel rousers at the last session, Greg Hafen. Greg came in several times. Greg and I first met this session. I can tell you, he was giving away red hats to. Would you put it on who was the Spartan gig? Yeah. So we had the Spartan that showed up to the Assembly. So you became legendary and you had a great conservative record. What's important is that we have to embrace everything we have, ladies and gentlemen, is that. The Trump campaign saw it, they appointed him, he went out, and then we went after Susie Lee. We had almost 80 volunteers show up, and we handed her a shirt that says, "Impeach this." If you haven't seen it, please look on the website. It has gone viral.
There's one in the basket over there. That's actually the one I delivered to her. So
perfect.
You bid on that one.
So As we move forward, I'll tell you that. So impeach this, and we've had several hits on it. It really took off. As I mentioned before, we did the Elizabeth Warren. We had 4 million hits on that combined. 4 million hits on us going after Elizabeth Warren on that T-shirt. We've sold it everywhere. It's actually even in Europe right now. There are people in Europe that are buying this T-shirt. So we went out there. Greg walked up. They did the rally. He walked up, knocked on her door to Susie Lee. She wants to impeach the president. He wanted to make sure she had a shirt that fit. Clearly, she didn't take the shirt. So now it's up for bid right there. So make sure you guys bid on that. That's the famous shirt that has gone viral on our site that protested the rally. I want to thank you again, Nye County, from the bottom of my heart. All these years we've been fighting together, side by side. And Joe was being humble. Because there's several times when I called him and said, hey, we have issues. How's the Nye County family looking? He said, the family's looking strong. We need some help. They'll be there. And when it came time, when the chairman resigned, it wasn't hours later, it was minutes later, and I called Joe and woke him and his lovely wife up and said, hey, you need to run again, buddy. We need to put this back together. The Trump campaign believes in you. I haven't had a drink yet.
Michael McDonald,
I swear, Greg. The Trump campaign believes in you.
Party chair.
Democrats push a national agenda. It's a team sport for them. They don't see it as this is Nevada. They see this as we're pushing a national agenda. The Assembly needs to be the backstop of this radical agenda. We need to stop, we need to fight our tax increases, like Joe has stated. We are the party of lowering taxes. We need to stand up for our small businesses. We need to stand up for our healthcare industry. Every single industry in this state, except for the very few special interest groups the Democrats had, took a huge hit. And I've called all of them. And you know what they all said? We're still licking our wounds, but it could have been worse. We should never be saying that in the state of Nevada. Nevada should be prospering in every single industry. And I want to give some specific examples, specifically in education. The Democrats, and Sable, I know you're in here somewhere, they tried very hard to kill charter schools in this state. They tried to kill all school choice. We were very successful in preventing them from killing off our charter schools, so thank you, Sable, for continuing. They did, sadly, kill off education savings accounts. And that was a bill that I was sponsoring to fund those funds for our future students. And then they gutted our opportunity scholarships, which helps our low-income families have school choice. And I don't think that's right. It's just every child learns a different way and deserves the opportunity for their parent to decide what is best for their child. The other thing, Assembly Bill 136, I don't know how many of you follow the actual bill numbers. They rolled back our prevailing wage legislation that increased the cost to build schools. Not only did it increase the cost to build our schools, they went after private businesses. Sable's charter school will, if she builds the charter school herself, will now be subject to prevailing wages, which will almost double the cost of building the facility. Why is it the government's job to tell private businesses what they have to pay in wages to build their facilities? Being a freshman, didn't know you weren't supposed to take on the speaker the first week of the session. But I'm proud to say that I did. I sat up there and I give credit to my colleague, Assemblyman Levitt, Assemblyman Hardy. We're all in the hearing with me. And we fought back against the speaker. Why are you trying to get into private businesses and dictate what they're going to do. Sadly, we were not successful. And as Joe, you stated earlier, and I believe Michael stated, we were in the super minority in the Assembly. We were in the minority in the Senate, and we had a Democrat governor. We can never, ever see that again in this state. We need to turn this state red from top to bottom. So I know I've talked a lot about negativity. I know, Ken, you came and visited me in the office, so you got to see my gator head that I kept on my desk. People would always ask, why do you have a gator head sitting on your desk? And I'm just like, just trying to tame swamp. We had a couple members removed for misconduct, we'll say, this evening. If you guys care to Google what they did, feel free. But I do have some positive things. Assemblywoman Hardy carried Assembly Bill 141, and I believe all of us were co-sponsors on that bill. This bill will help reduce the cost of prescription drugs in the state of Nevada, and that means dollars in our pockets, which means dollars going back into our local economy. And I'm very proud, and thank you, Assemblywoman Hardy, for carrying that. Our minority Southern leader, Assemblyman Roberts, he came to me with what he says is a small bill. He wanted to cut some government red tape. And so he's explaining what the current law is. And basically, I'm sorry, Assemblyman Roberts, I know I'm not going to quote you properly, but basically when you go to a pawn shop to sell DVDs, they have to do a background check on you. I'm like, oh, come on, you gotta kid me, right? He's like, no, seriously, you gotta fill out all this paperwork and do all this stuff. And so what Assemblyman Roberts did is he went in and was like, we gotta cut this red tape. We don't need to be filling out paperwork to submit to the state to say who's selling their DVDs anymore. So thank you, Assemblyman Roberts. And the other thing that was really important that I believe Assemblyman Roberts did was for our military families. Current or previous law, military families, when they were relocated, their students, their children were not allowed to play sports because you have a statutory limit of how long it is before you can play sports. And Assemblyman Roberts was successful in removing that. So our military families, when they're relocated to Nellis or Creech, their students can now go and play sports immediately. So thank you, Mr. Roberts. And then Assemblyman Levitt doesn't necessarily get a lot of credit for this, but I want you to know, Assemblyman Levitt, that I appreciate all the hard work you did in the government transparency bill. That bill was about to die because the Democrats did not want more transparency in government. And Assemblyman Levitt took that bill head on and ensured that it passed, and today we now have more transparency in government. So thank you, Assemblyman Levitt. This evening we have staff from both the Assembly Republican Caucus and the Senate Republican Caucus. Gentlemen, without you, we would have never been able to fight as hard as we did. You kept us going, you kept us in line, and I can never thank you guys enough for all you did for us. So thank you. I want to say thank you to Kay for reminding us about family dinners and how Reagan was promoting that. When there's only 13 of you in the caucus and 12 of you in a room, you become a family. And you become very close with each other. We may disagree on certain bills here and there, but for the most part, we're family. And every Thursday night, we would actually have family dinner tonight. And those are things that you'll just never forget. And it's the Reagan way. And no better way of honoring Reagan than to do that. And I can see Mr. Baylor laughing in the back. And you can have a peacock tonight later on. So I'm very thankful, Joe, for you asking me to come here and give this legislative update. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's time that we unite our party. And so I thank you for the opportunity this evening. I thank all of you for your faith. And God bless America.
You know, looking out across everybody here, you're all about my age. Well, maybe not. I'm a little older than you are, most of you. remember freedom. I remember how freedom feels, and I remember how it tastes, and I remember how it feels to have the wind on your face and being out in the great outdoors and being free. Do you remember being free when you were a kid? Do you remember running out, playing, not having to worry about just about anything? It's not that way anymore. It hasn't been that way in a long time. Now, you have to worry about your kids when they're out running. I didn't have to worry about mine. They lived in Toronto. I've been here a long time. And I watched it grow and I watched it change. And it isn't any different than any place in the United States. It's all changed. What is this state to you? Is this state freedom? Do you know how this state was born? What is it? Battle-born? What does that mean? It means we fought for an ideal. And we're still fighting. Every one of us that gets up every morning looks at the mirror, walks out the door, and tries to make the place that we live a better place to live. Everybody here is doing that. The thing is, there's darkness on the horizon, and it's been building for a long, long time. We're fighting the same enemy that we have been fighting since the Crusades. Not the same way. And it's evolved as we've gone along. It evolved into communism. During the Second World War, there was an alignment between the Arabs and England. There was an alignment between the Arabs and the Nazis. Do you remember when Khrushchev took his shoe and he pounded it and he said, "We will bury you and we won't fire a shot"? And that's happening to us. Look around today at your politicians. Look at what their message is. We can't afford to let that happen. I want my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren to be free. I don't want them to be subject to sharia law. I don't want them to be subject to anything other than what I've grown up with and you've grown up with. The right to choose. Unless we fight, unless we keep Donald Trump as our president, we're going down a slippery, slippery slope. And we're losing. When we change from red to blue in this state, we're losing. We can't afford to lose. We're losing our way of life. And that just isn't the way it's going to go. How many people in here are Christians? What was this country built on? It was built on Christian beliefs, but it was built that everyone had the right to worship in his own way. You're seeing that come to a screeching halt. I'm old, but I'm going to stand up for what I believe in until I die. And each and every one of you today should take that oath that you need to stand up. It's hard to stand up and not take a side, not be goaded into playing double dealing, slithery little people on the ground. It's really tough. It's tough to be honorable. It's tough to treat people with respect. It's tough to care. But everybody here needs to do that. And they need to understand that what we're losing is our way of life. We can't afford to do that. You need to get out there and you need to start fighting. September was the second year I'd gone back to Washington, D.C. It's the second year I've had the opportunity to walk through those halls and go talk to congressmen and women and senators and their aides and talk to them about immigration and talk to them about other things. Donald Trump made that possible for over 100 of us this year, sheriffs, that went back to talk. We got to listen to what he had to say. We got to shake his hand. We got to have a conversation back and forth. It was fantastic. He is what you see. He believes in this country. He believes in this country more than I've ever seen anybody believe in the country besides Ronald Reagan. And really, possibly a very long time ago, a guy by the name of JFK. And I realized he was a Democrat, but he wasn't a Democrat like the Democrats are today. His agenda at that time was our agenda, or very similar. It was Ronald Reagan's agenda. And it's my agenda. I believe in all of you. And I think that we can hold together, and I think we can pull this off. But everybody has to do their part. Everybody. That means you need to go out, you need to talk to the neighbors. It means you need to explain that we're still in a war. It's an insider war, but it is a war. People need to understand that there is a threat. And they need to understand that only your vote can make it go away. And slide it to the back and not let it happen. There were so many bills that came through the legislature this year, I couldn't believe the things that it took away from us. And they're going to continue to try to take things away. I want to thank you for the opportunity that you've given me to go back east. I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet President Trump, to meet the head of ICE, to meet the head of Homeland Security, to be able to sit down at a table like you are right here and talk to them and understand that they feel the same way we do. They don't want to lose their guns either. When we lose our guns, we've lost our freedom. I want you to realize that. I believe everyone should be able to carry a firearm if they want to, use that firearm if they want to, as long as it's within the law. I also believe that every one of you needs to sit down and search your soul. Look around, see what's happening, and fight. Fight like you've never fought before. Donald Trump needs to be our president in 2020. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. You understand the southern accent all right? Good. Good. It's the only reason my wife married me. She's American. I want to start with a little story. How many refugees from California here tonight? Half the room? Okay. Well, I was in Los Angeles recently and I walked up to a street vendor. I bought some food, he gave me the money, gave me the change and said, hey, you've got an accent. Where are you from? I said, look, I'm from New Zealand. He said, well, where's that? So to make it really, really easy for him, I said, look, it's down near Australia. He said, where Arnold Schwarzenegger comes from. I understand why they're fleeing people. Now, I've spoken to maybe 400 groups around your beautiful country, and I always get asked the same question. You know, why would a New Zealander care about the United States? And I say there are two simple reasons. The first is gratitude. My country was facing invasion during World War II by the Imperial Japanese Army. And if it hadn't been for the massive sacrifice of your fathers and uncles and grandfathers at the battles of Guadalcanal and the Coral Sea and Midway, we would have been done, folks. And that's a very strong memory in my country still today. The second reason is related, but it's a little more selfish. Ronald Reagan had it right. This is the last best hope for mankind. If freedom should ever fail in the United States, if you ever lose your constitution, your liberty, your economic dynamism, and your military superiority, all of which took a huge trashing through the Obama years. If that trend had continued, folks, we'd very soon be living in a world run out of Moscow and Beijing and Havana and Tehran. Is that the kind of world you'd like to leave to your children, people? No. I hope not. Well, I want to say a couple of things about the 2016 election. The first is this. Does anybody believe there may have been a touch of the miraculous on that election? Yes. I think even our atheist friends would have to acknowledge that one, right? But it wasn't an election that saved America. To me, it was an election that gave us a stay of execution. One last shot at saving this country. Been slipping for 100 years into socialism, and we're about to go off the edge. And we got pulled back. Now, there's a lot of times in the Old Testament where the Israelites got a second chance, right? They got one more shot. But how many times did they get a third chance? We're on our second chance, people, and we better use it. We may not get another. Second thing I'll say about the election. The Germans have a wonderful phrase, Schadenfreude. It means to take...
Okay, that does it for the 2019 Reagan Day dinner. We are taking off, and I'll put this up on YouTube as fast as I can. Good night now.